The official Fight Journal pick was Tyson Fury by knockout over Deontay Wilder between the sixth and ninth rounds. I had to prove unbelievers wrong afterwards. I left a post on Facebook, and so I had to show them the official pick, the text messages, the Facebook posts, the website, and the emails that were all sent or posted or what have you before the fight. Because people didn't believe me. I'm like, all right, well, when I make my picks, a lot of times, I mean, of course, you use what you see, but a lot of times when I pick stuff, it's just on instinct. It's like, man, I'm going with my gut here. I have a feeling. So anyway, I don't have to put all that stuff on here, but you guys know what it is. I mean, when we are wrong, we look for reasons, not excuses, on why we missed. But when we are right, we will sound the horns, no matter what. And I mean, you guys can get in touch with me if you want. You want to see my emails and my text messages. You can go to the website. Um, the pick is in. I mean, I can show you all that. Facebook posts, anything. Uh, Let me start by giving some shout outs. Some of these people started following us on Twitter, some on the website, some on the YouTube channel. As a matter of fact, I'm probably going to have to go on Twitter because I wrote down names from the website, the YouTube channel, and I think I left the Twitter people, so I'm going to see if I can find that. But anyway, shout out to, and I may pronounce some of these names wrong, so forgive me as I try to get my voice together once again. Shout out to AJ Kumar, Arqueezy or Arkeezy, Heroic Times, Dylan Schaefer, Gregory Towns, Eva Mendez, Jacob Castro, Jamandi, WAP Code Hub. I wonder if that's the W, like the computer talk with the word code next to it. WAP Code Hub. If you're listening in, let me know if that's computer related. Maybe I could have came to you and saved a few bucks. 1800 MMA Planet. Music, politics, sports. Ageless Port. That's AIGLESS. Guys, forgive me if I get these names wrong. Sudar Torfin. Sudar Torfin. SUDARTORIFIN. Sudar Torfin. That's my guess. Could be wrong. Senior accredited psychotherapist. Shailene McReynolds. Future. Rain Alchemist. A. Kumar, which might be the same person as AJ. Shelly Ann versus Joseph. Thai Hero 708. Okay, here's a long name. Psychotherapist, counselor, film, screenwriter, playwright, producer, London.uk. I want to thank you guys just for following us, for giving us likes, and just any support you've given us. We want to say thank you. I'm not going to try to log on my computer and go to the Facebook. What I'll do is not Facebook, Twitter. The next video, I'll just shout out some more people because we did have some Twitter followers. Okay, My operating system crashed. I don't know if people saw the note I left on the YouTube channel. There are these messages you can leave sometimes without doing a video or putting them in the comment section. You can just kind of, like, some people do polls, like, who do you think is going to win type thing. So my operating system crashed, so I had to fork out some money for my laptop. I'm mad about that. I think it was tied to that darn Microsoft update. I'm gonna give you a piece of advice. Never do the updates on your computer or your phone on the first day. And I usually don't, and I don't think I did, but my second piece of advice, which I didn't follow this time, and it burnt me, try to hold out as long as possible in case they have the recalls, which they had for Microsoft. And so it wasn't anything, and there are millions of people this is affecting. There wasn't anything that we did wrong. It was Microsoft. So with those trillions of dollars Microsoft has, you may ask, if the crash wasn't my fault and it was Microsoft's fault, why don't people sue them to get the money back they paid to get the operating system fixed? Well, every time you download the updates on your phone or your laptop, there's those user license agreements that are like 30 pages long, 60 pages long, whatever. And what do? We scroll to the bottom and say, I accept or I agree without reading it, right? Well, hidden in those agreements that you agree to is some language that basically says you agree Microsoft or Apple or Windows or whatever you're uploading is not responsible if something crashes due to their update causing some type of bug to your computer or your phone or what have you. Mainly it's computers. The phone stuff, they'll send a what do you call it, like a patch to fix it. Now they sent a patch to fix this Microsoft thing, but they ain't gonna reimburse anybody. You can sue them. You'll have a slim chance of winning. And so that's what that is. There's also a new Microsoft bug that causes your desktop to disappear. So you got to read up on that stuff. Or anytime you see something that says your phone, what you want to do, and you know what? I think I have to do this on the phone automatically does it, but you want to put that pause in. Like, a lot of people have their computer set to automatically accept the updates. You want to put that pause in there so it doesn't. So you can just manually do it at your leisure. But it could be the difference in you forking out some money. So in my case, it wasn't the desktop disappearing. It was just the total systems crash. And they said they finally pulled the update for good, but I'm out $150 or whatever it was I paid. It was close to that. So I'm upset. Okay. So you ever hear fighters say in the ring they have a plan C or plan D if the first two don't work? Listen, there are no C and D game plans, at least 95% of the time. Okay. And I'd say 75% of the time, a team can't devise a plan B. And we saw Tyson Fury. He showed the world there is a plan B and it can be executed. And now that I'm thinking about this, prior to him, Anthony Joshua came out with a plan B in his rematch. Um, what plan B can Deontay Wilder bring to the table? That's the question. Did he bring one out in the second fight? If they fight a third time, will he bring one out? In the first fight, Fury outboxed and gave Wilder angles. However, he did only enough offensively. You understand what I'm saying? Like just enough offensively, allowing the scorecards to be what they were. The message was sent. Like, listen, if there's a round that you probably won, but it's kind of close, not even close, kind of close, we're not going to give it to you. Fury won the first fight anyway. But plan B in this fight was to clearly not let that occur again. Fury stepped to Deontay and he put him on his back foot. And we said in previous videos, prior videos, that would be his downfall. He didn't have a clue defensively. And in our video, after the second Ortiz fight, we said that if any of the second tier guys, forget the 70s and 80s, we were talking about the 90s. If any of the second tier guys fought him, they'd beat him. Guys who just stepped it up and lost. Razor Ruddock, Bonecrusher Smith was a champion. Tony Tucker was a champion. Timothy Witherspoon was a champion. But when they looked at top tier guys, they looked at Bo, Holyfield, Lewis, Tyson. But the guys they beat, would beat Wilder. And why would they beat him? Well, look at his second fight with Ortiz. Okay, Ortez, however you want to say it. Wilder had this very wide stance, right? And he kind of takes little steps. But he didn't throw enough punches in each round for 6 rounds, okay? Same with Eric, the drummer boy, Molina, and Artur Spilka. He kind of sat back, threw a few punches, and the occasional jab, and then he waited to set up whatever he was trying to set up. And to his credit, it worked. But he gave up so many rounds. It's like, this is going to catch him. So those guys in the 90s, the thing is, they wouldn't have let him just stand there and do that. They would have gone after him. So, because he was in relaxed, while those guys were so defensive about, they tried to be offensive, but they were so defensive about getting caught with the right hand. They didn't realize they could move in, they could kind of move inside of that. And now he can't step into it. Those guys in the 90s wouldn't let him just kind of hang around and they just win some rounds barely. Even Gerald Washington won, I think, the first 4 rounds before, or however many before he got stopped. The cards didn't say that. And the cards didn't say that in a few of these fights. But those guys didn't step on the gas offensively. And so it never really took Wilder, let's say, completely out of his comfort zone. Them dudes in the 90s, let me tell you something, man. Wilder wouldn't have. Well, anyway, so Fury dropped Deontay twice and was on his way to do something major when one of his cornermen, Mark Breland, threw in the towel. Now, here's what I think will happen next. First, Wilder is going to meet with his team, and I think he'll give Breland his walking papers, just like Lou DiBella got. Lou DiBella did something believing he was trying to help, and he got fired. They let him go. So the big question of the day is, should Breland be fired? Well, my answer is no and yes. Breland should not be fired based on what transpired Saturday night, meaning the throwing in of the towel. However, Breland should be fired because Wilder hasn't gotten better at all. He's not a good fighter. He can't box. He can't even brawl, as you saw Saturday night. He gets distance, and if you wait on him in a defensive posture too long, or you blink at the right time, he lines you up. Boom! Lights out. The next, more on that later, about him not even being able to brawl. So, the next thing Wilder will do after parting ways with Breland is sometime within the next few weeks, he's going to give us an excuse about something that happened during camp that caused him to lose, or some nonsense like that. I'm not going to make any excuses, but he kind of did it partially on Saturday. It's like, well, I'm not going to make any excuses, but like, dude, we talk about this all the time. Everybody does it. So, oh man, his co-trainer, JD's, and I think it's D's. I had a guy who I used to coach, spelled his name the same way, and his name was Days. But co-trainer JD's didn't get more than one question into the post-fight presser before he said, hey, it was Breland's decision to throw in the towel. I disagreed with him, and I told Mark not to do it. Way to go, Jay. I mean, he went into full survival mode at the expense of throwing his co-trainer under the bus. You can't make this stuff up. I mean, talk about a bad night at the office for the entire team Wilder. I tell you, if somebody commits a crime and they put JD's knows about it, or he's with you, and they put that light on and start questioning him, my advice is to get a passport and to get out of the country, because Jay's gonna sing. I mean, man, he sang early. It's like, dude, like, give it a week. Anyway, survival mode. First of all, Jay and Deontay, let me say this. Jay, you should come out and explain yourself a little more, because it sounds like you're a yes man. If Deontay says his rule is to fight to the death, your job as a trainer is to still save him from himself. All right. We've said on this channel many times how the cornermen sometimes are braver than the fighter who's in there taking the punches. Excuse me. The weather changes, so I got that, like when I laugh or if I exhale too heavy, I get the little cough afterwards. So let me take a sip of this. What do you call this stuff? This concoction. Hold on for a second. Wait a minute. Okay. Deontay, you can do whatever you want with Breland, but Mark Breland saved you from some severe punishment that was coming your way. Mark Breland potentially saved your life. Deontay Wilder, excuse me, he talks about speaking things into existence a lot. Like, I speak things into existence. You speak it, believe it, achieve it. Okay, that's cool. Well, but let me say this. Two things he said I think he better be careful with. First was when he said he wanted to catch a body in the ring, and when people called him on it, put some pressure on him, he fired back and said, look, I'm not taking what I said back, and I'm serious. I want to catch a body. Okay. Secondly, he talked about he'd rather die in the ring than have the towel thrown in. He's a fool. I mean, I think he has 8 kids, and so you telling me you just rather die in the ring and not enjoy this 25 million or whatever you got? Come on, man. So, and if your life is about speaking things into existence and you say those two things, well, I won't go. I'm not going to go there. I won't go there. What happened on Saturday, it almost happened to Wilder versus Spilka. It definitely almost happened when he fought drummer boy Molina, who was one punch. Watch the fight. It was in Alabama. One punch from dropping Deontay and potentially stopping him. And the referee was looking close. I'm telling you. He Anyway, I'll say this about Wilder. Actually, I'll say 2 things about Wilder. First of all, Deontay Wilder is a tough son of a gun. Okay? I mean, he took his beating and he hung in there still trying. I'll give him that. He probably would have been more severely beaten if the fight went on. So credit his one trainer. Secondly, for a guy who doesn't have much skill at all, he's come a long way and made some decent money along the way. That's admirable. Even if it says more about the competition in the division more than anything else, he's gone quite a bit. And be happy that you're 6'7" and who knows what his reach is, 85, I don't know. With that said, he should have taken the $120 million that Eddie Hearn and Team Joshua offered him. If Fury fights and beats AJ next, Joshua will be fine. You know, his value won't go down much, if at all. Value meaning revenue, not boxing ranking. Now, we're talking money here. AJ will still be making more than Saul Alvarez. He's just that dude, man. Um, if Fury beats Joshua and retires, we're back where we were again. The world will want AJ versus Wilder. So if Fury fights and beats AJ, Joshua will be fine money wise. And if Fury fights and retires, then the world will say we want AJ versus Wilder. If Fury beats AJ and fights on, AJ will have a rematch clause, and Wilder could be frozen out for 2, possibly 3 fights, depending on how the first 2 go. If AJ beats Fury and no rematch is set, then Wilder gets his shot again. Okay? Put an asterisk here with that one. More on that in a second. Now, Team Wilder says they want the 3rd fight with Fury. Put an asterisk here. Why? Well, if Wilder says he wants the 3rd fight, and if the WBC enforces it, then Fury will either take the 3rd fight or tell the WBC to walk and go after the big money against AJ. And people keep counting AJ out, but if you combine Wilder and Fury's resumes, AJ has them both beaten. Combined, he has them both beaten. Don't take my word for it. Print all 3 of their resumes out, cross out all the bums, and just count the good and great fighters. AJ's resume is the best and better than both guys combined. But I digress. So Wilder can try to enforce the rematch, and odds are he just can't handle Fury. So what do? I think the best course of action, okay, the best course of action, in my opinion, also comes with its risks. Premier has played keep away with his fighters. And so Wilder can go back and fight some premier guys. Charles Martin, a winner on the undercard, may be out because I think he's in line for one of Joshua's belts. Now, Joshua stopped Martin in a couple of rounds a few years ago. But here's a few things. If Wilder fights a couple times and knocks some bums out, he won't get better. If he fights a couple of times and he kind of carries them for a few rounds and works on some things like Jared Hurd did in his last fight, he may still not get better. Or maybe he will. A couple of fights just working on something. A different style, something. I don't see it, but I think the best bet is to find guys who won't lay down as soon as the first Wilder punch comes close to hitting them. They won't lay down in one round. They'll give him some work, give him some rounds. And but they're just not quite talented or athletic enough to win. But they're tough guys. The risk is whoever is half decent to good and they fight Wilder now, moving forward, they're going to step to him when they fight him. So guys you thought Wilder would brutalize in the past might actually have a real shot at beating him. I stay away. Okay, so if you're going to keep it premier, I'd stay away from Adam Kalnacki. Adam is a come-forward guy who throws a lot of punches, and he would put Wilder on his back foot where he'd be in trouble. Kalnacki wouldn't sit and wait or be sort of passive like guys in the past. He would take the fight to Wilder. And you talking about live? A live dog? Man. Um, if Andy Ruiz Jr. is in any kind of shape, he's got a good shot. Once again, he's a guy who throws combinations and a guy who can counter. And he's dirty with his punches behind the head that he consistently gets away with and drops or stops guys with numerous times. And if you just do a search on Andy Ruiz's fights and you look at the knockdowns or the knockouts, guys are getting up. The ones that get knocked down, they kind of like tapping the back of their head with the glove, like, yo, that's an illegal blow. But I don't know if his hands are too fast or these referees just, I don't know. But he gets away with it. He got away with it against Joshua. I'm like, well, hold up, man. I mean, I saw an equilibrium shot, but it's some behind the head stuff there too. Anyway, um, if Wilder were to fight Ruiz and he gets distance, then he might hurt Ruiz Jr., but that fight has its risk too. If Dillian White trains, if he trains, that would be a dangerous fight also, even though he's no longer Wilder's mandatory because he lost the belt. He was like Wilder's mandatory for like, what, 4 years it seemed? I mean, so put an asterisk there also. So if Fury vacates the WBC and goes after Joshua, which I'm sure the WBC would like, maybe they'll do the right thing and fight Wilder and White for the vacant belt. PBC, what else you got? Nobody wants to see Wilder and Ortiz again. So if no Ortiz and no Martin, all you have left worth a dime for PBC is Kaunagi, should he win in a couple weeks, and Ruiz Jr. Both fights too risky. If you want to protect to get another big payday. And maybe you can resurrect a Bryant Jennings or a Michael Hunter. Wilder needs to get to those guys if he fights them, because if they get some confidence, neither one of them are big-time punchers, but Wilder's chin is not what you think it is. I know the shot, he got hit on his temple and what have you, but and then there's some other names that would be too risky, either too risky or outside of the premier. You got Usyk, you got Dillian White, Joseph Parker, Alexander Povetkin. You got that guy Kragovic. You got the Rivas guy. I forgot Rivas' first name. One fight I wouldn't mind seeing. This guy, he got power, but he can't fight either. But that Ife Ajagba, he's premier. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? He's a premier guy. That would be man, Wilder and Ife Ajagba, boy, that'd be set for Brooklyn. I'd actually go to that. Hey, there's always you can fight Huey Fury and keep it in the family. There's a Fury he might be able to beat. Either way, Wilder is in trouble. And people keep talking about a new trainer. Listen, you aren't going to teach this guy at this point in his career. He knows one way, and it's worked for him. It's kind of like Jarrett Hurd. Do you think that new style Jarrett Hurd used in his last fight is going to work against the big boys of the division? Absolutely not. Stay tuned for Deontay. Hey, David Price is always out there, and he's available. As for Tyson Fury, the world is his. You'd love for him to fight Joshua next. It'll come with complications as Wilder and or the WBC could put a damper on it. However, if he vacated, neither Wilder nor the WBC could touch a Fury versus Joshua match financially. They couldn't touch it. If I'm the WBC, I allow it to take place, as the sanctioning fees will be off the roof. Be real about it, guys. No matter who you like out of these heavyweights, fighting Anthony Joshua will be any heavyweight's biggest payday. If Fury and AJ fight in Wembley or Saudi Arabia even, Tyson Fury is going to make $150 million plus in one night when it's all said and done. He can switch hit, which makes him more of a puzzle to figure out. His height causes problems, as he's the tallest. And as much as he got off in this last fight, his defense is still better than his offense. And he put it all on showcase Saturday night. The offense, the defense, or defense, however you want to say it. And he certainly would be a decent favorite over AJ on the betting line. Personally, I'd lay something down on AJ in that one. So, let me close this thing. But some things of note from Saturday. Wilder's legs seemed gone from what appeared to be a hit to his temple, and it messed his equilibrium up. I'm not sure about his eardrum being busted, but the ear was bleeding, so I wouldn't doubt it. He won't laugh at AJ anymore, will he? That equilibrium, let me tell you something. The ear and the inner ear are nothing to joke with. You can't walk straight, let alone box. So hats off to Deontay for lasting as long as he did. Fury was, is, and will always be a clown. Did you see him imitate licking the blood from Wilder's neck? Come on, man. Wilder had another costume that looked like it cost more than most guys' fight purses. I like the one from the Ortiz rematch better than the one on Saturday. Did y'all see those four poor broads struggle to carry King Fury to the ring? I mean, these weren't bodybuilders, man. I mean, they had some arms on them, I guess, but they were just nice-looking women, man. Poor things. Those broads, man. One of them kind of swayed to the right a bit because she was struggling. I mean, but hey, that was 280 pounds of man and probably another 200 pounds of carriage and throne on top of that. So, good work, women. I hope he paid you well and got one of those MGM Grand massage spa packages for you. Hey, at least you didn't have to carry him out the ring. Wilder has to do some soul searching. That's all I'll say about it. He's got some soul searching. So we'll see. In coming weeks and months, we'll see where we go with that. So next up is Mikey Garcia versus Jesse Vargas. That's a DAZN fight, right? I actually like Vargas's chances in this one. My only concern is I don't know how I'm not sure how he fights after layoffs. He's been off about a year, and Garcia, he's had a few layoffs longer, over a year, over 2 years. So I know he'll be okay. So it boils down to when you don't see a guy fight for a year. You just don't know. So if Vargas is on his game, I like his chances at the big upset in this one. Don't let me down, Jesse. Come with your A game, buddy. We'll catch you guys on the next one.